wacko.
And I like Iron Man. Iron Man has always been one of my favorite superheroes. He started the MCU with a fantastic movie, had cartoons I watched growing up, one of which had a banger theme song. However, what I'm most interested in are the video games. Now, there's only ever been a handful of Iron Man games, 6 to be exact, assuming Wikipedia is to be trusted, which my English teacher would strongly disagree with. Thing is, these games never really scored all that great in reviews. I want a full-on Iron Man game that makes you feel like Iron Man. And what better way to feel like Iron Man than playing in VR? Iron Man VR, the game no one asked for, but I am so glad we received. The idea of this game sounds really cool. Being Iron Man in VR, flying around shooting stuff, that just sounds awesome. It's supposed to immerse you and make you feel like Iron Man in real life. But I mean, I'm already Iron Man in real life. Jarvis, order an extra most bestest pizza from Little Caesars.
Certainly, sir.
See, he's totally real, and definitely not digitally added afterwards. However, while the game sounds good on the surface, why is no one talking about it? It's like it's been forgotten to time. Like it's just another licensed kids game to sell toys. Which, it is. But when I first played it, it was awesome. So awesome that it was one of my top 10 favorite games. But maybe that was just the hype talking. Maybe if I replayed it now, I'd realize it wasn't anything special to begin with. Well, I'll be the judge of that. This is awesome. The freedom to fly around any and everywhere you want with ease is huge. Unlike that dumb Spider-Man VR game that doesn't even have real swinging, this game straight up gives you the power it promises. Okay, come on, this is pulling you. It is not swinging you. It is not how Spider-Man works at all. I don't think you've seen a single... It takes some time to get used to, but the game goes out of its way to push the controls in your favor. Wherever you aim your hands, you'll fly in the opposite direction, since that's how physics works. The only exception to this is when your hands are by your side, facing backwards. Then you'll fly in basically any direction you look, whether or not physics would allow it. Double tapping the thrusters gives you a speed boost, which not only makes flying faster, but it's also so fun to boost out of the way of an enemy attack, dodging at the last moment to avoid damage. Combat is the main focal point of the game, and your main mode of attack are the repulsors. Physically aiming your whole arm at an enemy to attack them is intuitive, and leads to combat that, well, feels like Iron Man. Looking around, moving your hands, trying to shoot enemies with one hand while outmaneuvering attacks with the other leads to combat that's really fun and a workout. You also unlock the ability to use artillery weapons, and instead of activating them by just pressing a different button, you instead aim your hand down, just like the movies. This tiny thing of physically moving your arm instead of just pressing a button makes the entire experience easier to understand, more fun, and makes you feel cool. This is probably how people felt about the Wii, before the effect wore off and people preferred to just press buttons. Actually, that might end up being an issue here. Most VR games I've played aren't games. If you've played VR, you'll know what I mean.
Contradictory statement detected.
Most VR titles are cool to experience, but that's just it. Experience. After you've experienced it, you don't really want to come back. Job Simulator lets you mess around in VR, but once the novelty of VR wears off, so does the fun of messing around with it. Batman Arkham VR, no relation, looks really cool, but there's no real gameplay. It's just about being Batman. Move forward until it ends. Lucky's Tale, which started in VR, was easily released without it because it never needed to be in VR. Kinda like Wayward Sky, which is really cool, and VR does add to the scope of things, but is largely unneeded. All of these games were made because VR is cool, and people wanted to see what they could do with it, but they all lack depth, and are either not interesting enough to get you into VR, or don't really need to be in VR to start with. So many VR games don't really attempt to be games, but the few that do really shine. Vacation Simulator has a ton of puzzles and challenges built for VR that actually requires effort and is far better than its predecessor. Batman Arkham Shadows, I haven't played, so I don't know if it's good. Beat Saber is a ton of fun and really takes use of being in VR. It also feels like a workout. Vader Immortal, which is only okay by itself, has a side dojo mode that has real lightsaber combat, and you can dodge shots by leaning and throw your lightsaber. It's really cool. I Expect You to Die, one of my favorite games of all time, is a spy puzzle game, which, oh my god, this is so cool. Plus you get a ride on a train. Okay, well, it's not moving, but you get to sit on a train. There are a lot of games in VR that take full use of the hardware, but it's often a gamble whether you're buying a full game or just something that you want to check out and delete. Question is, which one is Iron Man VR? You fly around and shoot stuff. Is that it? Does that ever get boring? Well, yes. The combat continues to innovate with new ideas and mechanics. You can punch the drones and even ground pound if you like. The Unibeam can be charged and take out anything, and there's a full upgrade system with a ton of new artillery and repulsors that completely change combat, all being made by this red holographic Tony Stark, because apparently now there's 2 of them. But I mean, the more Iron Man, the merrier. Jarvis, add more Iron Man.
Certainly.
Wait, hold on, my PC can't handle all these. Jarvis, stop! That was a terrible idea. Who told you to do that?
Apologies, sir.
The drones you attack also get more and more interesting and require different strategies to beat. You can just shoot the main ones or hit multiple with the missiles. They're pretty easy to take care of, so you might want to put off attacking them for a while to focus on bigger threats. These bigger dudes try to dash into you with a shield, so you have to dodge them, and I find punching them usually works really well. These tanks have homing missiles that can be very overwhelming, so it might be best to take care of these guys rather quickly. A ground pound is really easy to land, and just unloading on them is likely the best choice. These drones with the hard light shields are irritating, as you can't just attack them, you have to wait for them to attack you, dodge, and then return fire. And if you miss your chance or get hit, you can't do damage until they attack again. I often tried missiling them to do a lot of damage, but it took way too long to get to them and they ended up getting their shield back before it hit, so maybe shooting them first to daze them would work better. Each drone with its unique attacks and movement makes combat quite deep, so you'll always be finding better and better strategies to deal with different groups. It's similar to Doom in that way, with a combat system that's all about enemy management, weapon choice, and movement. It's pretty cool. But because it's an Iron Man game, you want to feel as cool as Iron Man. So they add cool stuff alongside the combat. Following people by flying through a canyon, visiting the helicarrier and trying to do tricks by flying through it, fly around a crashed plane and having to go rescue Pepper. Almost every level has something cool to keep it interesting. It really makes you feel like Iron Man. Iron Man! I love you. It's not all sunshine and rainbows though. You know how at the start of Iron Man 3, there's this monologue?
A famous man once said, "We create our own demons." Who said that? What does that even mean? Doesn't matter. I said it because he said it. So now, he was famous and basically getting said by 2 well-known guys. I'm gonna start again.
But it's fairly short and entertaining. Well, this game has one between almost every stage, except they're not short or entertaining. It's just exposition. Boring exposition sucks. Except when I do it. So in the FNAF video, I actually die of a heart attack. And in the updates video, I'm going to a funeral, which is symbolic because it's my funeral. And in the I secretly
Skill issue.
If you think those are bad, the second to last chapter, the entire chapter, is slow and just exposition. It's just flying through caves with barely any power, with a story that's just being explained. It's not fun. The reason people love the Iron Man movies is because they were well written. I can't say the same for the games. The movies actually did a really good job at making Iron Man's flight look satisfying. While the games try to imitate that, and it works to some extent, it's not quite there, because it kinda can't be. The game isn't using physics simulations to fly you around. You're always straight up. Not being able to lean into your turns, or smoothly travel through a tunnel like in the movies, it feels far more restrictive, which, again, it kinda needs to be, because it's a video game and can't let you do everything, because you don't have legs. Oh, I do have legs. However, I think the biggest issue this game has is with its pacing. I think the comparison to Doom works really well here, because just like Doom, the game is almost non-stop action, which does not work. The Last of Us, being the masterpiece that it is, works so well because the pacing is perfect. People hate on these dumb ladder puzzles, and yeah, they do suck, but without them, having non-stop combat sections is draining. Having these moments of downtime turns a great game into a masterpiece, and this game is sadly missing that. Besides those really boring expedition dumps, which don't count because you're not even playing the game.
Like, they can arguably work, but not really. The reason The Last of Us works so well is because you're doing stuff, and you still get to listen to the great dialogue between Joel and Ellie, which is what the entire game is about. In this, you're mostly standing around not doing anything. You can't just make good pacing by throwing in slow moments. These slower moments have to complement the rest of the game. Add puzzles that require Iron Man to use his brain, or maybe his stealths actually don't. People tend to hate those. What we got just doesn't work.
On one hand, it's one of the best VR games I've ever played, and when you're new to VR, it's amazing. But once that news worn off and you're left to view the game more objectively, the issues really start to shine through.
I have no issues.
The game does have some really good design ideas that make it genuinely fun, and the depth in the combat makes gameplay that's really satisfying to master. But the slow moments and repetitive gameplay with little to no variety just leaves you burnt out. I do recommend that everybody play this game at some point if they have the chance, because it is really good. But don't play it again, because after that first magical, thrilling experience, doing it again removes a lot of the magic. Also, there's this one chapter where you play the original Mark 1 armor, and it's really cool because you have this flamethrower, which is really awesome, and there's also these regular shots that do more damage than the later armors. Why did he downgrade? Oh, spoilers, by the way. As a whole, the game's not bad, but it has some pretty big flaws. I think I could do Iron Man even better. Okay, Jarvis, are you ready to go?
Using the suit with an armed pilot is not advised.
Who?
In this case, you would be the pilot, sir.
Asked! Got him!
You did, sir.
Start with thrusters.
Certainly, sir.
Wait.
Jarvis, ship my pants for me. Right away, sir.
Have fun on the editing, Mr. Wyatt the Wacko the Messenger. I hope the editing goes well. Yippee yahoo!